Hello, and today we're going to talk about ezfocus's mobile app. Many folks use ezfocus on the go in the field, in the sales operations, or during work withs, and ezfocus can be utilized on any mobile device through a Chrome browser by using our web address. But if you use an Apple device, tablet, or phone, you can download the free app from the App Store, install it, and use your username to sign in. Today we're going to talk about some of the things that make ezfocus's app faster than using the web version. Now, if you're doing top level 35,000 foot off the ground analysis of the whole market, you probably want to be using the web version. But if you're referring to some of the quick things like getting into a call, logging visits, loading photos, checking the status of your territory, looking at supply chain, inventories in warehouses, the app is going to suit a lot of those needs. Now let's review the most important ones. We're going to break this video up into two parts. The first video should be a bit longer, and it'll be about a lot of the core functionality of app that all different users have. And the second part will be for additional features and some toys that maybe you have included in your national subscription or not. So the first thing we want to do after we've logged in on ezfocus's app is make sure that our dashboard is working the same way. So the dashboard that you have here on your ezfocus landing screen in the app will be different than the web version, and it's important to know what you can use it for. The first thing to know, which is a recent change in version 1.7, is that the exclamation mark is now available. So you can actually see line of sight to what data is published, when the next data is coming, without having to go to the web version to find that out. As a reminder, if this exclamation mark here is ever glowing red and says sales in progress, that means the month is being closed as we speak. To configure which widgets are on your landing screen, things like alerts, which are now available in all provinces. Ontario might have more types of alerts, but a generalist out of stock alert is available in all of Atlantic Canada, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, BC, etc. To configure your dashboard, the main menu button in the top left-hand corner is three horizontal lines. You go to settings, and this box here is going to let you choose which widgets you want on your landing screen. After you choose them, just hit the menu button again, go back to home, and they'll load for you. Great place to keep stuff like how am I tracking towards my objectives, what does next month's objectives look like, can I look at stuff like follow-ups I'm setting for myself and click on a store's number and pick up right where I left off with that customer, or a summary of how my brands are all doing in my portfolio at the bottom. Handy stuff. One of the most important features about ezfocus's mobile app, just like the web version, is the search bars. The search bars are great. They're going to save you lots of time every year. We've added a couple of features for the product search bar. So if I type something like a brand that I'm thinking of, or a brand family, or a SKU number, or anything like that, I can click on the SKU, and all of the alerts that apply to my territory will populate here. You'll have information in all the markets about, who the agent is, who the supplier is, pricing, that kind of stuff, and a quick link to a top stores report. Top stores reports are probably one of the most useful features you can have on the go with you while you're in the field. And as a reminder, if any top stores report loads with no data, or if any report in the app ever loads with a blank screen, first thing I need to ask myself is, have I chosen a measure and an account type? So if this is blank, in the top right-hand corner of any screen, you're always keeping an eye out for this red chevron, which represents the menu of filters. You want to make sure that you've got a measure selected, so in this case, actual cases, and an account type, government retail in this case. When you click the chevron again, the table will update if you've made any changes, and you can use this filter search bar here at the top to do things like slim the list down for criteria based on a keyword, like Mississauga in this case. And I'm taking the totals out, or I'm looking at anything I like. And if I click on any one of these locations, I just drive into that store's page. Similarly, on the account search bar, you can use for accounts, you can use stuff like a banner chain. I can type in the word like Foodtastic, and it'll pull up all of the on-premise accounts that are part of the Foodtastic group of banner chain, or if I'm looking for private retail, hotel beer vendors in Manitoba, or a retail chain like Sobeys in Alberta, same concept applies. I can type a city, an address, a banner chain, or I could also just type my name. If I type my name, the search bar is going to return all the accounts that are assigned to me, and I can review them there as well. On that note, let's talk about one of the most important parts of ezfocus, which is how to manage our territory in our app. So to do that, we're going to hit the main menu button and we're going to look at My Stores. My Stores is a section that's available in two different types of views. As a reminder, if you're booting up the app for the first time, this type of section might take a little bit longer to load for the first time. Basic rule of the app is the longer you use it, the faster it gets and the more it learns you. But here you have access to, an alphabetical scroller kind of thing on the side, or I can pull up something like a keyword I know that's going to be what drives me to that account I'm looking for. And if I don't just want to look at the directory of my accounts to find where I can get in to make a call, if I actually want some info on their sales data, that's what this other tab at the top, the Analysis tab, is for. After I use the Analysis tab, I can use my menu to do stuff like I'd like to see more than just my government stores. I'd like to see my on-premise locations or private retail, agency retail, that kind of thing. I can do filters for things like show me how my accounts are doing based on a specific listing type, like speculative SKUs or whiskey shop SKUs or general listings, that kind of thing. And I can toggle between my measures of actual cases, 9-liter cases, and dollars. When I've got the settings of the choices I like if I wanted to add for my visits, for example, now I don't just see where my stores are and how they're doing and how the total market's doing. I can also see when was the last time I logged a visit and how many visits have I logged in a recent period of time. Same kind of concept. If I want to get into this store's page, all I've got to do is click on the location here in the table and it drives me into the stores page. Next, after My Stores, is My Products. So My Products is just like it sounds like. It's your brands, but they're only the sales added up for the locations that you call on. And I can do things like, I'd like to see how my products are doing if I'm only looking at retail stores or if I'm only looking at on-premise accounts, that kind of thing. I can look how my products are selling in a specific banner, or if I only want to look at one supplier or brand families, I can do all those types of things from this menu here, and then the table will update as soon as I close it. Same kind of concept applies with the search bar. If I want to slim down the totals and see how just one brand family is doing, I can do that very easily as well, and it redoes the totals for me when I apply a filter like that. Before we do the category analysis tab, one of the other most important parts about ezfocus would be the My Objectives area. My Objectives is going to list information on objectives past and present. So for this example, let's scroll back to P6. And you can see here that objectives are sorted into my system here based on the type. So I can review all my distribution objectives or my merchandising improvement objectives or displays, advocacy differently. Just like in the web, when I'm planning out my month, I want to look at which locations are performing. I can plan PL, or I can complete, or I can reject an objective based on how I'm trying to do it and what my boss is asking me to do. We can apply a gap report very easily to any sort of objective here simply by opening the menu and clicking Highlight My Gaps. This is going to show me where I've got either no inventory or I've got a D listing status in Ontario. And if you're out in a wholesale market, this column will be a 1 or a 0 based on if the account has a wholesale repurchase in a recent amount of time for you. The Category Analysis tab is important because it represents the categories of your territory. So earlier we were talking about the difference between the app version and the web version. As a reminder, the app is going to show you this category analysis will be only the stores in your territory. If I want to see, macro all things for all trends, I should be using one of the web modules for that, okay? So here, if I want to take a look at top ranked categories, again, I'm going to open my menu here and I'm going to say to myself, okay, I'm interested in regular listings and I'm interested in whiskey shop products. And I want to take a look at I just want to see 6 months of my sales, 6 months of the market sales, and I'd like to see something like um, the category rank, average price. By clicking on any of the column headers at the top, you can actually rank the columns pretty simply. Just click on the gray this year twice and it'll rank the top ones from the bottom ones. If I want more information about the Canadian whiskey category, for example, or one of the wine categories, or one of the coolers, after I select a category like this, this red eye icon, I for information, means that information is hiding one level down. So I hit the I and it drops me down to the top ranked SKUs in my territory locally. And just like we discussed earlier, you can actually select from here any one of these SKUs that's performing thusly in your territory, and then just hit this icon for 1-2 ranking and get a top stores report for that. So I see here that this is one of the top performing competitive Canadian whiskey SKUs behind mine, which is highlighted red in this case. If I want to see which locations this is doing great at, I can just hit the 1-2 button here and it launches a top stores report for that brand, and I can take a look at top ranked stores that are in my territory, or I can look at the whole province at once kind of. As we mentioned, we're going to be covering the core functionality in this video. So after these 4 or 5 sections that we've gone through right now, the most important thing else that we're going to cover is the My Visits page. So let's choose an account. In this case, let's use Airport Road in Beauvert. And this is a My Visits section. My Visits applies to any account in any channel, and every account's going to have access to all of these tools across the top of the screen, and which ones you get more use out of really depends on the type of account. So let's just go through them quickly here. The first one that you're going to see is the My Visits tab. That's going to help give me information on visits that I would have planned in advance or booked in the moment, and we're going to cover planned visits in the second part of the video. The second tab, My Opportunities, is actually just had a big overhaul in this latest version. This is a fantastic way to get information on brands that may either be struggling in this store or may not be carried yet in the store. And one of the ways that we know that that's going to be the case is if it's not carried in the store but there is inventory in the local warehouse, or if it is in the store with an L status but you've got a low inventory situation or a D status kind of thing, like for down here for this one here with a D status. Whenever you see one of these brands, remember that you can filter based on product type or category. So in this case, I'm going to apply one for regular listings and whiskey shop products. Take out some of my seasonal gift pack SKUs, that kind of thing. All I have to do is slide left. I can use the barcode to either initiate a listing or a reorder in a wholesale store, or I can use the sheet button and it'll allow me to pull up a top stores report. The third of the tabs that we've covered after opportunity is My Objectives. So we did the My Objectives section earlier. This would be the objectives that apply to this location, but it's the same concept: planned, completed, rejected. Click on the blank space here to load a photograph or indicate how many wins or cases a display is, or how many SKUs of a brand family objective you've gotten listed, that kind of thing. The next tab is Alerts. This will outline all of the SKUs that apply to one alert type or another in this location and help you determine what sort of conversations you should have with your customers and what you should prioritize. Anytime you're logging a visit, you don't really want to make a novel of it, just telling the business, did I conduct commerce with my customer on what day, was it in person, and when, and that kind of thing. If you want to be setting yourself notes to follow up on, that's what the follow-up section is for. So under follow-ups, I can use this button here in the right-hand corner saying add. I can do something like select the first field, choose the date for next week, and say, I have my note here is staff tasting before Xmas, bring cookies. From the follow-up section here, if you click this button, it will save a copy of this follow-up directly to your Outlook or iCalendar. Otherwise, you just hit the save and you've created yourself a follow-up, which goes to that handy list of your follow-ups right on your dashboard screen when you log in. Every My Visits page has a My Products tab. That's information on the data coming from the source, so either the wholesale sources or the LCBO in this case. And again, oh, something must be wrong here. Why is this? If I click on my menu hiding, aha, it's because I have a wine filter and I'm primarily a spirits rep. So always good to either leave these off or filtered on your types of products. The difference between the My Products tab and the My Products Listed tab is the My Products Listed tab will help you keep track of things like your share of shelf or your merchandising in the on-premise. All you've got to do is choose a brand here. So let's choose the Double Barrel Whiskey, for example. Slide left. I can either take a photo of where the product is in the location or a picture of it on the menu or anything that I want to remember myself for. I can also do things like unlisted. So it might have a sales history in this location, but my client is telling me it's not going to be carried moving forward. I can put it on my delisted list, or I can do something like add information about it. So, merchandising wise, in an on-premise account, is it by the glass, by the bottle, and the speed rail? Here in a retail account, do I have a year-round display? Do I have a permanent fridge location? What's my bin capacity like? And then if I'm getting volume information, it'll be here. If I'm settling up A&P budgets or activation budgets or case rates, I can keep track of that here. And there's a general notes field here for you as well. Probably one of the most important tabs across the top here for an account, especially government retail channels in any province, is the Category Analysis tab. The Category Analysis tab is going to give you line of sight to all of the SKUs at the SKU level in this location. All you've got to do is choose the category and drill down. So in this case, I'm going to choose Whiskey Canadian and hit the I button and drill down. And then I can control stuff like what category am I looking at in the store. If I change from the Canadian whiskey wall and I want to go to coolers instead, I can do that, and ezfocus will update for me the section that I'm looking at, so I can review sales data and stuff like retail info, which is an important one, retail info, and then lose my spirits filter, and there I go. This is really going to help me walk around the location that I'm in and have as much information at my fingertips as possible about all the different sections that I'm looking at. Of the sections I'm looking at, is there inventory? What are the current and previous listing statuses? Is there promos in play on any of these brands? And what are the sales like year to date and recently? So these are some good fields to have. I would make notes for yourself. The Documents widget is going to let me load things like a planogram or a retail flyer or a menu or a cocktail list. Very important to understand achievements. Achievements is going to be if I score a win in my account that's not part of my objectives that my manager has loaded for me. Here I can come to achievements, add something, and tell the business, about something like a retail display that I got. And I pick the product that it's associated to just by putting the name of the product in there. Let's say it's this one, and then I do something like staff pick week 4. And I can add a photo if I like, and when I save it, now my manager is able to see all the great things that I did towards my objectives and all the stuff I did above and beyond my objective. Competitive activities is going to let me load information that I'm keeping track of what my competitors are up to. And then the last 3 of these things are designed for customer relationship management ease. Stuff like contacts is where I can load info on night managers or sommeliers or product consultants, stuff that's not part of the general information of the account, that's just for me and my company. Dates to remember are the best days of the week to visit, make orders, or get deliveries at this account. And then lastly is surveys. If my manager has loaded any survey questions for an account of this nature, they would load up here. I would enter my survey results, questions like yes, no, multiple choice. And of course, if I have a survey loaded for an account that applies to, this survey icon would actually move all the way to the front of the list here, and it would start pulsating red to let you know that there's a survey question that's been loaded. Okay, so we covered the core functionality of the key modules here: my products, my stores, categories, my objectives, and my visits. In video 2, we're going to cover some of the other fun tools and toys that ezfocus's app has to offer.